What's going on, everybody? We are on day 14 and I just realized we have not racked a switch. So why not in day 14? Let's go ahead and take a look at how we would rack these Juniper Network switches. Let's hop into it. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the ears on the network switch. So you receive your device from the manufacturer. It should include the network ears and also the hardware. So in this example, we have a front mount, we have a center mount, and we have a back mount. So depending on what type of network rack you are using and the environment is going to depend on what type of mount you end up using for your ears. In this case, for this video, I will be front mounting all of the switches, but I just wanted to show you guys the difference between a front mount, a center mount, and a back mount. So let's go over the network rack that we're going to be using for this video, as well as some of the hardware and tools that we're going to be using. So I do have my 6U network rack. And if you guys don't know what a U is, it is how we measure the space that our network equipment is going to take up within our rack. A U is measured by a 1.75 inches. So if I were to look at this top input right here and this input right here where my two fingers are, that would be a measurement of 1U. It would measure out to 1.75 inches. And that is what my EX3300 switches that we're going to be racking today, they are all considered 1U switches. So I will be able to rack 6 Juniper EX3300 switches inside of this network rack. Okay, so the materials that we're going to need for this video is just some regular rack screws, some cage or rack nuts, a regular screwdriver, preferably a Phillips number 2. And also I have a unique cage nut tool that we're going to be using so we don't have to mess up our hands. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop into this video on how to rack these switches. All right, so now it's time to go ahead and put in our cage or rack nut. This is this little handy tool that I like to use right here to prevent me from messing up my hands when I'm putting in these cage nuts, because sometimes they are tough to get in. You have to squeeze, and that is basically what this tool is doing. So it's an easy slide in right there for the first cage nut. I'm going to put the next one right here. And I usually like to start my way at the bottom and then work my way up as I rack the switches. So let's go ahead and put that one in. And some racks you're going to see that don't require cage or rack nuts, and they just have the screw hole. So it depends on which rack you're using. And you're going to see a lot more network racks as you continue to work with switches. All right, so we have our cage nuts in and we're ready to try to rack this switch. Now, it's always easier to rack the switch if you have help. Somebody to help you maintain the weight. But if you don't, you're going to probably be struggling for a while to get everything the way you want it. But that's a part of the process, right? We rack switches, that's just part of the process. So you got to try to hold the weight in one place. Get some of the screws going, and then just kind of go from there. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so let's go ahead and put the top switch on. Now I went on ahead and put the cage nuts in there already. And I like to rack the bottom switch first, because now I can use this bottom switch as support when I'm going in with my screws. So let's go ahead and get this top switch racked as well. All right, y'all, so we have the top switch racked in now. And if we grab it, it is solidly in this rack right here. So if you guys notice, I did leave a U space in between these two switches. And that is because on the front side of these devices, they have vents, and they're not just there to make the switch look good. These Juniper switches do have fans, and they do run loud, if I can say so myself. But it's still a good device, but the fans do run a little bit loud, and these devices do produce a good amount of heat. So to allow this device to breathe, if you can, always put a U space in between your switches so they can breathe a little bit better and they can perform a little bit better. Now, if you are in a case where the rack is just full and you have to stack them one on top of the other, hey, you got to do what you got to do. But in this situation, the reason why I did leave a U space is because this rack had the space, and it just makes sense to allow the devices to breathe a little bit better. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in into day 14 of our Juniper Networking series. I hope to see you in day 15. But until then, peace out.